there?
No, sir, you can start, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Jaspal, and we'll today talk about IoT in a slightly different way. Normally, most of you are teachers and faculty members at various engineering colleges, and you have a lot of book knowledge. You have knowledge theoretical as well as must be having practical knowledge also. So my idea of this lecture is to incite your imagination for various other applications and various thoughts, right? There are n number of books available for all of these various topics of IoT and embedded systems. But what I am going to talk is to obtain various applications from the internet, from the various sources, and then I have tried to present it here. Okay, so we'll go with this. The basic system I'll follow is talk about applications, try to have as many applications, so a sufficient number of applications, and then quickly talk about the challenges and some of the trends that are happening now in IoT, right? Okay, so IoT is there in all areas of human activity. Each and every activity you can think of IoT, right? Each and every activity that has some kind of embedded system, you can think of IoT in that. Of course, there should be some benefit of putting IoT there. If putting the embedded system on the internet adds some value, some benefit, some remote control, some remote monitoring or something, then of course you can go for it. Otherwise, it's an unnecessary cost or a fancy thing, right? So most of the applications that have happened are things where you get some benefit out of putting the IoT. Otherwise, you can attach internet connection with any embedded device, right? So the benefits have occurred mostly in something like healthcare, automotives, or you can say transportation, agriculture, and that kind of stuff. So to list the exact things, one is that consumer market, what we call as a consumer or domestic or routine life applications, normal daily use applications, that kind of things. Then the retail applications means the applications that are suitable from buyer seller point of view or a shop point of view, some mall point of view, that those kind of applications, right? Then you can have healthcare or medical and health monitoring or whatever you want to call it, fitness monitoring, whatever you want to call it. So there are several applications. One of the most popular is this healthcare, right? You can see a number of devices people are wearing and using for various things. We'll talk about each of these things in slightly more detail. I'll try to create your fanciful thoughts in each of these applications, right? Then there's a military or security related things where people are using it not only for monitoring the enemy activity, but also for various other applications like planning, like some kind of threat monitoring or some kind of strategic issues, or maybe even for the soldiers' health. So there are several applications in military. Then another big area of application is the industry. In industry, there are a lot of applications happening, which include several things. You know, industry has a lot of automation. Industry has a lot of production, and there it has a lot of linkages with various things. So industry has a lot of applications. Then transportation or automotive. Similarly, we have environment and agriculture. Environment and agriculture, you can relate to something like almost similar, but in agriculture, you are more related to farming specific things and specific product, specific output. In environment, you are trying to monitor the soil, the environment, the temperature, humidity, and weather parameters, and forest fires or forest growth, and that kind of thing. In automotive and transportation, you can have an individual vehicle put under some kind of IoT, or maybe have multiple vehicles on the road and that kind of stuff. So all these things will take up one by one and discuss them. Actually, it would have been wonderful if we could have had a face-to-face meeting lecture where uh, one can always think aloud and discuss those things. Anyway, let us see how best we can do it. So coming to the smart home, home is a place where we all live, and we spend most of our time. So home related things are there, and you can think your own imaginations. I'll try to put several of home based applications. In this slide, I've shown them as a single this thing, but each of these things can be the thought of automation and smart and IoT link. So the primary objective of each of these things should be one of these: control, usage monitoring or planning, condition monitoring, and later analysis, planning, or that kind of stuff, right? So for control, you need remote control, you need some you want to give it control to initiated by some kind of event, or you need to give control to some multiple persons and security related things. So those kind of stuff you can say control related issues. Then usage or monitoring, you can monitor how long did I start my TV, or how long I was watching the television while sitting or while lying down on the sofa, or whatever. So usage monitoring stands for monitoring, right? You want to see the usage of particular device. Then condition, you want to see whether your fridge is working fine or not, or that kind of, or the tube lights are, how long they have been working and do we need to replace them, that kind of stuff. And planning and analysis. So once you understand all this data, you got to plan. So these are the four major categories of objective for making the home smart, right? So we'll come to each of the small things which I will try to incite your imagination. You can also think of large number of things. There are several things here shown in this, but I'm leaving it to you to think and think aloud and in your with yourself. So coming to smart egg tray, there's a egg tray marketed by some company, that is Quickie.com. This egg tray has a sensor installed at the tray, so it determines the number of eggs that are there, how long they have been lying there, and if you can also program them it device to say that if there are only 2 eggs remaining, put an order to the grocery store that supply me 1 dozen eggs or whatever. So that's a smart egg tray, and you can think of n number of such things. Smart utensils, where you store your dal or rice, that kind of atta, whatever, right? So it monitors, tells you, updates you, and more things can be done with this. Okay. Then washing machine, we all know, has become much better nowadays than older times. where only one type of washing machine was there. So now this washing machine is much smarter in the sense that it has it determines the weight of the cloth and type of the cloth, and based on that gives all the cycle. So that is not a big deal. The big deal comes when you can plan to say to tell it that I don't want to put my colored clothes with my white clothes. So you can so the machine will tell you that by mistake there is a colored cloth lying in your white clothes for washing, or opposite, or vice versa, no? Where some white cloth has come in your colored cloths, and so there is a chance of spoiling the color of that white. So that kind of stuff, when you do, it becomes really smart, and you can program it, and you can monitor the condition over the internet. So here what you're doing is you program it once, or even you can program the things from remote also. So that is the objective. When to start the machine cycle and when to stop, you can program. It can do automatic. You can think whatever way you want. AC we discussed yesterday also. AC we know is to cool your room. So for starting and stopping, there's of course you can use the IoT when remotely you want to start it. But the next stage in this automation or in this smartness comes when the AC automatically monitors your vehicle's location. If it is reaching near the house, and you tell that within if it is, let us say, within 2 kilometers of your house, the AC will start. Or you want the AC to start when you are 10 kilometers away, or whatever. So like that. So that way it monitors multiple things and provides you the perfect temperature that you want uh, at your house. And when you're going for the office, automatically it switches off. And by knowing the position of the car, or your position also in that case, if you want to modify it to that, so it will save you energy. So like that, right? This is smart AC. Then sleep monitoring systems. There are a large number of sleep monitoring systems that have already come in the market. You know, the fitness bands. So this sleep monitoring systems, or IoT based systems for the sleep, there are several types. You can have a sensor in your bed which tells you how long you slept, or how long you were sleeping in a deep sleep, or how long you were sleeping in not so deep sleep, and you were shifting your positions, and so you did not have your good sleep. So that means your day, there may be problems in the day, so it may alert you to take some special rest, or maybe take some time off, or reschedule your meetings, or whatever. And what it suggests you what time is most suitable for your sleeping. So you can think of such applications, and there are devices already coming in the market. And you also must be thinking to work out some new things. Okay, this is a cooker which uh, which you can control remotely, right? You can put the certain rice and something in that, and remotely you can tell it, okay, start cooking now, so that when you just reach the home, it is exactly warm and just freshly cooked food. So like that, right? You can use it for that purpose, or maybe some other purposes also. But right now, what this purpose they are saying is this company is saying. Then garbage collection, or waste collection, is a big issue in several countries. In India, we are not that much bothered, but this is a very critical thing uh, to monitor what kind of wastes are being thrown on the road or on the then you know uh, there are waste segregation, right? Some dry waste is to be put in one kind of can, and the wet waste or the food waste needs to be put in another can, and there is some timing for the cans to be picked up, and or maybe it has not been picked up by the municipality. So like that, there are several things you can monitor. Now, from the user point of view or the householder point of view, it can alert you that this kind of stuff is to be put in this, or this kind of stuff is not to be put in this, and you can do this or that, right? Or you can monitor what time is the most time that you put the garbage in this, and therefore alert you that based on the already the position of the can, or where whether it is full or not, like that. Okay. The other, from the municipality point of view, what you can see is that uh, if it is full and not been picked up for certain duration, we can consider linking it with the municipality mobile or alarm system or something. If on home or hello, was I audible? Hello.
Yes. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. It showed that you has been unmuted now. Anyway, I hope I was audible throughout the whatever I talked. Anyway, okay. So another aspect that I was just saying is to incite your imagination, all those things, all the applications, and based on which you can think of some innovative stuff, innovative new designs, new applications, new things, right? So in this particular case, if the person or the household owner is not there, let us say, is not there for 1 month, and you say, and you want to alert the municipality that don't need to come here to pick up the this can. In India, it doesn't come to each and every house. Probably it comes in some cities. In some cities, it does not. They have collected a common place and do it. Anyway, the point is that you can think of other applications, and if the person is not there, the municipality or the person who is going to pick it up is alerted that there is no need to go that side and waste their time or energy, right? So like that, you can think whatever. We'll there's another very interesting, slightly different kind of application, smart loos. Now, what is happening when you go to airport or railway station or such places, you always find the loos very stinking and big problematic. So what they have done, they've just done simple thing. This is a Heathrow Airport Terminal 2, where the smart loos have been put up. They simply have sensors to track the person's movement, like how many people coming in, how many people going out, and which particular basin being used more or less, like that. That's all what they're monitoring, nothing more. But based on this, they can alert the maintenance crew that particular bathroom is being used. If let us say roughly you have to say in 24 hours you have to clean it once or 4 times, so which means roughly after every 40 people you have to clean, and then that data has to be collected after certain understanding or some previous experience. Thereafter you plan it, or you plan to monitor that after 40 people have come in, you just need, the crew needs to go there and do some mopping or whatever. Similarly, like that kind of stuff can be thought of. There's a big problem in Indian toilets and loos. So a lot of thoughts can go there, and some innovative products should be India specific products can be thought of. Then there's this weather station, right? You know, weather, temperature, humidity, pressures, pollution, CO2 levels, all that kind of stuff is told by the weatherman every time, every day, and also it's available on the internet nowadays for most of the cities. What this weather station is doing is that what you get from this internet is a city-based weather. Now, weather at a particular location may be much different than the average of the city or the place where that particular weather station has been put by government or whatever. Normally, they have several weather stations across the city. Let us say one city is to be monitored. They will put at least 5, 7 monitors, 5, 7 sensors at various places, measure them and average them and give you some values. Normally, that is the way, but it does not tell you if your particular location is in the midst of a city, or let us say near the industry, or like that, some polluted river or something like that. So then it does not tell you the exact weather at your place. So now what you can do is you can have this set of sensors and connect it to internet, and they can monitor your things, and you can get to know the remotely, and then you can remotely, if certain limits are reached, you can program. Then many industry people, it's not for actually home user, not an individual user, but actually it is most useful for the industry people, where they have to monitor their own effluents, the amount of pollution there that their factory is spreading, and so therefore they have to monitor it and inform the nowadays there's a new rule that each and every industry has to give the weather data to normal this is standard state there's a state agency called pollution control board. Every state has it. So that pollution control board, you have to give data to the pollution control board. So that act has come, and already people are doing it. So this kind of stuff can do it wirelessly or over the internet or through the remote way. And very soon we are going to see act which says that every industry will have to display it online. So every industry will be required to install this kind of sensors, where the exact weather, exact parameters will be put on the internet, and everybody can see that whether this industry is polluting or not, right? Now, this is smart gardening, where there's some companies offering various things, and we at CDAC are also doing some large number of things related to smart agriculture. So what this smart gardening does is it has sensors put in your soil, and sometimes there are sensors on the leaf or the flower or whatever you want to put. So it measures the moisture in the soil and measures the moisture in the plant leaf. So what it does then, when the plant is getting dry, only then it asks you to water. Right? When the plant, let us say plant absorbs. Let me tell you one more thing. Plant absorbs water, or actually does transpiration, where it loses water through the leaves and absorbs water from the soil. Right now, when the in the atmospheric humidity, there's a lot of humidity in the atmosphere. Then the leaves keep storing the water, and they're not able to transpire so much. So either you put a sensor in the environment for humidity monitoring, or you put a sensor on the leaf, which will tell you the plant condition. And similarly, you put a sensor in the soil, so it tells you when the watering or some fertilizer is required to be given to this particular plant. So, okay, that's a fancy thing, but a lot of other applications based on this are coming up. And since there are n number of sensors which we can discuss also if required, that can be used for innovation, right? So this is all some home related, common related things. Now let us come to some more specific and industry specific applications. Now this is IoT in agriculture. In agriculture, there are large number of applications and a large number of Indian companies have already started offering IoT for agriculture. This let me first of all let me tell you few of the applications that are mostly uh, commonly commonly done using IoT. The first is the soil condition monitoring. So when you give water to the plants, water to the field, let us say large 1 acre field, you water it. Some areas may be slightly up and that area may not get sufficient water. The level of some area may be slightly down and it may get a lot of water. So that variation may happen within a field as well as the plant. You may not be watering the entire field itself for certain duration. So you can put some sensors in the soil. Normally, what they do is they put some 8 sensors at different locations in a given field, and from each of the 8, you get the soil moisture inputs, soil moisture data. Then you plan it, and you see when the plant is a small sapling, you need to give only small amount of water and maybe more number of times. But when the plant has grown up, so it needs more water, maybe slightly lesser number of times, or maybe when the rain comes, you don't need to give water by irrigation, it will automatically irrigate. So the soil condition is monitored, and a common parameter is evolved that irrigation is to be given or not given. Some people just call it as smart irrigation, but there's much more things, right? Then within that soil sensors, you can have nutrient sensor. There are NPK sensors, although some those are very costly, but some sensors are nowadays available where you can directly monitor the soil condition, whether fertilizer is required to be given or not. Okay, so those soil monitoring is one common application where IoT is used. Then this is shown as water stress. Whether if more water is there, that is also a stress to the plant. If less water is there, that is also stress. Okay. Then soil erosion or soil condition, you can see, you can monitor whether some soil condition, soil nutrition is okay or not. Then plant health monitoring is another great area where what you do is you use some cameras and other things to check the health of the plant, right? How green it is, how not yellowish it is becoming, and so like that. So based on that, you understand what is the fertilizer amount of fertilizer that is required to be given, and so then again there's one more aspect to it. Some areas of the field may require more fertilizer, some areas may require less amount of fertilizer. So different rate at different locations, you need different fertilizers, different amount of fertilizer. So you can put those sensors at different places. They will tell you the health of the plants in different locations of the field, regions of the field. So based on that, you can control the fertilizer. You just do not spread. Normally, what the farmers do, they are told that, okay, spray 10 kg of so and so urea in 1 acre of land. What they will do is just they simply spread it uh, randomly or approximately same all across. But this particular way, it can tell you the where exactly more this thing is to be given or less is. Now next is a UAV. UAV, or what you call as a drone. Drone is used for giving this fertilizer spray. So areas where uh, you have more requirement of fertilizer, the drone will go there, give more fertilizers. At the area where less fertilizer is required, the drone will give less fertilizer to those areas, like that. Similarly, the pesticide spray. Pesticide spray is determined by the weeds or the pest that has come on the plant, right? If a certain area, normally what happens is pest growth starts from one side of the field, maybe either because of certain conditions, or coming from some other region, or coming with wind, or like that. So when it starts from one direction or one place, that particular place may be sprayed with pesticide, and the rest of the field you can spare. You may not use the pesticide and save the cost. So like that, a lot of things are happening. Then there is one more aspect, crop yield estimation. Now what happens is, often the experienced farmer comes to know the yield, but sometimes there's a rain at this certain location, or there is some untimely, some water was not available, like that. So some, based on certain conditions, uh, there may be some changes in yield. So the weather that is predicted by the state agency, or things like Google and SkyMet or whatever, so those data can be collected, and the data of the field can be collected. Based on that, you can do two things: plan when to give irrigation, when to give fertilizers, or you can also plan is how much is going to be my yield, how much crop I am going to get, because there's going to be good rains in the towards the end of this, or maybe towards the start of this, whatever. So based on that, you can estimate the yield, and based on that, you can plan the amount of storage required, or transportation required, or whatever funds you have to required. So whatever. So like that, there are a large number of applications, and you can think of, there are a lot of revolutions happening in this. You need to uh, imagine, talk to some people, and innovate. Now let's come to IoT in retail. You might have seen already, there are people are using RFID tags for checking your clothes and their labels. But the next stage comes where uh, the shelves are smart, right? There's a shelf. Let us just imagine there's a shelf, and there are 5 different shampoos put there, and by chance people are coming, and each of them is taking up one particular shampoo only, because recently that ad has come and everybody is taking that shampoo only. The other shampoo is not that much in demand. So based on automatic analysis, the smart shelf, which will have some sensors, IoT based, maybe let us say weight based things. There are weight sensors there, which will tell you that there are 10 bottles or 2 bottles remaining. So based on that, it can alert the store owner that so and so shelf is getting vacant, please replace, whether from the store or whether order new. And similarly, 100 such stores in a given city can be monitored, and that city's stockist may come to know that so and so shampoo is getting quickly sold, so he can pre-order and there is no shortage. Similarly, when 100 such cities are monitored, and several big malls and stores in each of those cities is monitored, the company knows that this particular thing is going like this, so they will start increase their production, or plan what to be done, whatever. So like that, that is just one set of scenario which seemingly is very simple, but actually is very profitable, very money involving. A huge amount of money is going into this, and people want to do this. They want they want to get this data. The company can spend anything, any amount. You see, if a company can give crores of rupees for advertisement, and after that, if it is the stock is not there, and the people, the company will lose crores of rupees. So the rupees money is not a problem in this sector, and there are fast moving goods, especially what we call as FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. For those goods, money is not a problem, and a lot of things can be done. Then there is a smart basket also. You pick up, let us say you pick up 5 different items from the shelf and put it in your basket. And basket, as soon as you go near the checkout point, the basket automatically conveys that these items have been put there, and so the bill is ready. The person standing there does not have to scan each and every item one by one. So based on the that whether you picked up X brand or Y thing, or Y shampoo, and some soap and this and that. So just when you're putting, there's a sensor which measures that so and so thing has been lifted up, and there's a sensor in the basket which identifies itself, and together they give to the IoT system, which tells that so and so soap has been put in this basket number X. Soap brand or identity this has been put in basket number X. So as soon as this basket X goes near the checkout desk, the desk comes to know that so and so basket has come, and it gives the basket number X. Total value of the goods put in the basket X is rupees Y. So that is what is happening. And the third thing that is going to happen very shortly is that there are robots in the mall which inform you that if you're picking up, let us say, if you're checking the shampoos, then the robot will inform you that so and so shampoo has come very recently, it gives much more value, or this thing, and maybe even collect your data, whether you like this or not like that, and or maybe just a fancy item like many videos we might have seen, right? So these are the things. Now there's a one more thing which is not shown this in, is hidden thing, is even bigger than each of the things that I've just now told. That is called consumer behavior analysis. You walk into, let me just quickly tell that, because most of we are engineers and we do not anticipate or think in those lines, but there's a important thing that is happening in this and relates to a lot of engineering and IoT, is the consumer behavior analysis. When you walk into a store, uh, the area that you are looking for first is your urgent need. If you're quickly looking to at one place, that means that's your urgent need. And if you go walk to certain that place, let us say washing powder is finished in your house, you just straight away walking to that. So that means that's an urgent need. Or you have already planned it, and you pick up just once this thing, that means you have already planned it. Or you are just go and pick one particular shampoo, that means you saw the ad and therefore you are doing this. So you are ad dependent. Then the third is the person goes there, uh, checks each and every shampoo bottle, how much is the content, how much is the price, what are the contents, whether it is safe for hairs or dandruff, for dandruff, or for hair straightening, or whatever, hair growth or whatever, right? So if you're doing that, that means you have some other behavior and you have some other need. Now for a single person it's a useless stuff, but when you collect the data for hundreds of people, then that data becomes useful for the company. Now, if let us say in a given place, uh, recently there was an ad related to Shah Rukh Khan, and let us say in a given place, Delhi, most of the people coming to so and so malls were picking up that particular shampoo, and the sale of that shampoo has increased, which means the people of Delhi were influenced by Shah Rukh Khan's ad to pick up that, and so therefore to show that ad for Delhi must show. And if the people in let us say Nagpur were not so influenced, then that means it is not required to be shown in that. So maybe they have some plannings कि भी यहाँ पे करना है यहाँ पे नहीं करना है, or maybe something like you have to give that ad in the local newspaper or not, or local TV or not. So there are huge, although COVID has changed a lot of things, but still this is what I'm telling, pre-COVID things, a lot of things were happening and planning uh, this way. And behavior analysis was a big game, very big game, and people were ready to pay crores of rupees for such kind of data. Okay, now let us come to IoT in healthcare. This is one of the most happening place for IoT. Okay, uh, IoT, is a set of sensors connected to the internet. Now this, I've shown of several sensors for which you may like to put them on the internet or the IoT. So speaking in a simple way, let me not talk about the what is pulse oximeter and what is blood pressure monitor or whatever. You have you want to monitor the health of the person, heart of, let us say, heart of the person who is walking, who is going away, or who is living away. So you can do that over the internet. Even sometimes we have certain conditions of the heart which happen only when you are running, or only when you are sleeping, or only when you're doing certain thing. So those things can be monitored, that every day it is coming at this time, and that 7 o'clock in the morning this particular thing is happening, your heart is missing a beat. So you can correlate it with that 7 o'clock I go for a walking, and 7 o'clock 7:15 or 7:30, that means I'm exhausted and my heart is doing this and that. So you can analyze. So individuals heart monitoring, individuals health monitoring, condition monitoring, those can be done. We all have the fitness bands nowadays which tell you how many steps you walked, what was your heart rate, and there are a number of analysis related to that. They're telling you how much is your how good was your sleep, how long did you sleep, like that. So there is a lot of things. Okay, so this is what fitness kind of stuff or health monitoring would be there. There are more applications that relate to this. When you have such monitors on a given population, you can find out whether so and so population is getting these kind of problems or not, or if there is a disease breakout, right? Like rising fever in certain area. Always people are reporting for fever after this, or maybe doing that or whatever. So like that. So there are a lot of things that you can do on an individual as well as on the community or a larger level. Then the third set of healthcare sensors or healthcare IoT is inside the hospital, where you monitor the location of certain devices, certain very critical devices. For example, your ventilators. When the ventilators are in short supply in big hospitals, they move the ventilator to some ex ICU, and the patient went out from that place, and they forget. This generally happens in government sectors, not in private sectors, where the people are much more vigilant about these kind of things. So they forget that ventilator was kept in that room. So asset monitoring, asset tracking, asset condition monitoring, whether that ventilator is okay or not. So when, if it is in internet, it will tell you, okay, ventilator number 5 was had some problem related to this, and so we kept it in this maintenance room. And after 3 days, alert can come that the ventilator is now okay, and you can collect it from so and so place. So like that, a lot of monitoring is happening in the hospitals. Okay, so that's about health. You can think a lot of things in health. Then let me come to this another this thing, which is transportation. As I told you, you can have monitoring or IoT for individual vehicle or as a set of vehicles, as a traffic or something like that. Like for example, public transportation. If the transport is equipped with IoT, every individual can come to know, can visit the site and come to know that uh, vehicle number so and so of the route X is coming in 5 minutes, or is currently 2 stations behind, so that means it is going to come in next 15 minutes, whatever. Then fleet management, where fleet there are a large number of trucks with the people or buses with the people, so they can manage that if so and so vehicle has to go to this place and then comes back, and you monitor it whether it went fine, and whether the driver slept there or whether he driver took some wrong route, or deliberately it slept at one place for 2 days, whatever. So those kind of stuff you can manage. Utilization of assets means you have a number of vehicles with you, and you can utilize them in optimal way, like in, let's say, taxis and where they go and come back, or you can plan their routes and that stuff. Management of inventories of the spares. These are talking about the spares where big maintenance houses and repair workshops, and those may require a lot of management of the inventories and each of the location of those things, and the store and the movement and the logistics, those can be controlled. Then geofencing is a method where you have a sensor on the GPS sensor on the vehicle. If the vehicle goes out of a certain boundary that you can specify, right? The GPS sensor will give you the location. If it goes beyond certain boundary, then you can the owner or the manager can come to know that this vehicle has gone there. Uh, People in some countries put geofencing during COVID also, that you are not supposed to go to so and so location. If your vehicle has a GPS or your mobile phone has a GPS, so you were not expected to go beyond, let us say, 1 kilometer during those days. You are only getting your routine shopping, routine grocery. So your store is within 1 kilometer. You go there and come back. Don't go just roaming around. So that kind of stuff is what is used. So waste management, we did talk about certain things, but when we talk of from city point of view, there are a lot of things that smart cities actually have. One of the simplest is the you do not waste your electricity. In now, no, most many times we see that the street lights are on throughout the day, while even in the day also. So what happens is that your electricity is wasted. So if IoT sensors can be put there, and you can control them. Garbage you can control, electricity you can control, then traffic you can control, and so a lot of things are there which you can control. Okay, so for a smart city point of view, there are several things, and there are huge. Most of the cities have actually gone ahead with the smart city concept. Some of them have gone to various extent. Some of them are very efficiently managing those things. Some are not so efficient. So those things are happening. Then one important thing, I'll just take up this another set of IoT is the industrial IoT or IIoT. People call it as IIoT. Each of the machines can have sensors, right? Its condition can be monitored, right? What tool you are fitting for what vehicle, for what manufacturing, for what kind of activity, and what is the processing that time it is taking, the processing steps that are required. So in each of these stages, if you have sensors, you can monitor, right? So for let us say for processing, you normally you use let us say particular thing, processing of certain thing requires 1 minute, and if there is some particular instance it has gone beyond 1 minute, then there's a problem immediate, some alerting is to be done, or some other action has to be done, or some alternate machine has to be started. So like that, right? And obviously the user or the manager has to be informed. Now based on these things you can do a lot of other things. You can analyze these things like if so and so machine scheduling is what they call is scheduling. If there are five processes that are happening, and you schedule them one by one, or you can schedule them in parallel, or you can how big should be your batch. So that kind of thing can be analyzed using this. Connectivity stands for connection to the internet, and if you are connected to the internet, everything is available on the internet. Remotely you can plan it, and you can do the things whatever way, and the best possible things can be done. Uh, Save money, actually biggest thing is to save money here, right? So that's all about the applications. I have talked about several applications, and many of them must have struck the fancy of some of you, and you may have started thinking of some other parallel directions, and I look forward, or maybe hope that you will think of certain new applications, some new innovations, some new thoughts, some new planning, some because most of these sensors are now available in the market. Most of the readily embedded systems are readily available. The boards are readily available. All you have to do is to connect them, program it, and put it on the internet. Not a big stuff. Although yes, there is something involved. That is not just a child's play. Also, something is there. But anyway, it's not even a rocket launching kind of stuff. You can do it quite easily. So I have tried to give you perspective from application, from usage point of view, so that you start looking at the more practical oriented way of the whole stuff. So this was the idea, to take you slowly into through this, and I hope I have achieved in what I wanted to achieve, and we look forward to further thoughts on this. Now I'll quickly tell you few more things related to IoT. One is the IoT challenges, right? Some things that are still being done and to be done, or some issues that are happening there. We'll talk about this. The number one challenge is the security. Security, is important for each and every operation that we do. You cannot monitor your health just like that. Uh, Other people should not be told if you are not you're not interested in telling them. So security. So what people are doing, they're hacking the systems, they're hacking the internet. Now, since the things are also connected to the internet via the what we say as IoT, so the things are also vulnerable to the attack. So I gave you one example yesterday about some attack in some country where centrifuge machine was attacked. So this IoT security becomes very challenging, in the sense that uh, in a computer you can steal the data, you can do a lot of things, but in IoT you can hack a thing, and if the hacker can activate some wrong thing, there can be even bigger damage, instantly damage. Instant damage can happen. Like that centrifuge case happened in uh, okay, let me not say that country. Okay, happened. So if the it went unnoticed, अगर वो unnoticed चला गया होता, so that centrifuge might have filtered certain filters in a different way, and those would have been put in the nuclear reactor, and the nuclear reactor would have blasted, or maybe whatever happened, something might have happened in the nuclear reactor, and a big uh, problem would have been there in that country. So security is a big issue in IoT, and one simple tip or one simple practical thing is that whenever we get the embedded system new board or IoT board, uh, most often the password that is default set by the manufacturer or the vendor is 123 123 4 or 0101 or something like that kind of stuff, right? So 1234 is the most common. So the practical tip is, please always change that to some number at least. It should be not so easy for the hacker to hack it. So some, at least he should have at least to give, if it is a 4-digit number, at least he should have to give 9,999 trials, or maybe lesser also, but he has to have some pains to reach that point, right? Okay. Then there's a challenge related to connectivity. This is quite popular, quite easily known to all the people in our country, where connectivity in some places may always be a challenge. Uh, Net connection is sometimes not good at various places, but nowadays it is changing. But connectivity, of course, so if IoT device is put on the internet and the device internet connectivity itself is not that good, or is not able to give you the results, then what's the fun of it, right? Then longevity and compatibility. Longevity stands for reliability. Many times these sensors are not so reliable, or you do not package them in a proper way to have a long-lasting thing, right? So if a particular IoT thing has to be maintained after every 1 month or after every few days, then what is the fun of it? Matlab, it becomes a big problem. So compatibility and longevity. Compatibility stands for that if I put a sensor there and the sensor went bad, and I just procure another sensor from the market and put it there. So it should be compatible with each other. That compatibility has not come so far. Then there's the standards, right? There are no one fixed standard, no single standard for all the things. No single standard for the sensors even. Some will give you analog output, some will give you digital output on RS-232, some will give you on USB, some other will give you some other I2C, like that. So there is no standard of communication interface. There is no standard, no one fixed standard, but there are several standards. That's the point. There's no wireless, single wireless standard. There are several standards for wireless. So there are several standards for the connections and interfacing, so that standards are not always harmonized. And another last is that you always do not want the data. You always do not want to see the temperature at X place. You want to see how that temperature varied, or whether if what, let us say I wanted to control it, whether I was able to control it or not. So you want to see some inference, you want to see some information, not the data. So some analysis and action is required, often required. So that unless you do that, the purpose of IoT becomes very, very limited. So this is the point in this. So these are the challenges which you can think and which you can work. From data point of view, there are more challenges. There are data has multimodal. You can get data from various sensors. Some LM35 will give you some other way. Some DS1259 will give you some other way. They're heterogeneous. Not each of them is similar. They may not give you the noise signal to noise ratio of each of these sensors may be different. Time and location dependent. You cannot always say that the same thing will work everywhere. Dynamic. These things are dynamics. Let us say a sensor calibration itself varies over a period of time. It drifts, values the drift, so that is a problem. So similarly, analysis is an issue, and unless all those things, data is processed properly and the data is accessed properly, the complete IoT system becomes slightly, the use of it becomes more demanding and challenging, and there is more to be desired. Okay, then some more considerations. Autonomy and control. When you have data, when you have IoT at multiple layers, what layer should be able to do what and what should not, it should not be able to do, who's the manager, who will not be or supervisor, that kind of thing. Then social control stands for that, whether socially if it relates to like your garbage collection, so then social how the person, whether the person should be able to control it or not, so that kind of stuff. And when the politics also comes in places like when we are talking of smart city IoT for the complete city, so it's definitely a big political issue also. Design considerations, obviously you have to put a lot of design considerations for the IoT application to be successful and long lasting, right? And such related things. Connectivity, we said. Power management. Okay, one particular point we missed in earlier this thing is the power management. The power that you give to the IoT thing, the thing IoT, the thing, the energy that the battery, normally it is powered by a battery, right? So that battery often goes bad. So if you, let us say you put a IoT sensor in your field, and if the battery is draining after every 1 day, so either you have to go and charge it or replace it, whatever. So in that case, if you're almost going daily there, then the benefit of that becomes very less. So power, unless you manage the power, this is very, very critical. One more, this thing is the rapid evolution. Things are changing very fast. Today we study this theory AO, tomorrow or after, let us say 1 year, that thing is evolved and something better has come. Okay, we have talked about these, and now let us come to this trends. One of the biggest trend is that the things are increasing. The things on the internet are increasing very, very rapidly. We saw the exponential growth of number of devices, number of things yesterday, right? The second important thing is when the things are large number of things are there. So the amount of data collected is also large. So that data processing requires big data analytics, and so big data has become a very much part of IoT, and data needs to be processed, data needs to be analyzed. Then AI, we know, is changing everything, and similarly the data obtained from the IoT is also being changed and updated by AI. And so what is happening is AI or intelligent IoT systems are happening. So we are calling as artificial intelligent IoT. Or you can have, there are more number different names for this, but the point is uh, the sensor, the device itself can be intelligent. There are three levels actually. One is at the edge, the last point. The thing in IoT is called as the terminal point. Then there's an edge when you do it locally, and then there is a third point where you do it in the cloud or on the internet. Just a minute. Okay. So there are three levels where you can apply the intelligence. One is at the device level, at the gateway level, which you also call as edge intelligence, or the third is the at the server level or the cloud level. So three places you can apply, and this happening very rapidly. Now, as a service offering, this another trend that is happening is people are not interested in many places. It is not interested. People are not interested in procuring so many sensors, then putting them on the internet and getting a special infrastructure set up for wireless communication. They want as a service. They Most of the companies actually are now interested in as a service offering. They are like as a service offering means like Google will say, I'll give you all this data, how the customer is going to a mall and behaving. I'll give you all the data. What shopping it did, I'll give you all the data. You just pay me this. So this is a service, which is so the person is not interested in IoT as it is. But the person is not interested in IoT. He'll not say, I want a IoT for so and so. He will say, I want the data only. So he is interested whether he want the data, you do it by IoT, or if you want to do it with some other this thing, you can do it. So there are IoT infrastructure companies that are emerging. So what is happening with this is the IoT infrastructure companies which are offering IoT infrastructure on their own, and you as a consumer or a customer will only be asking for the data. So IoT is theirs. Like there's a service offering. I'll just explain this thing in another way. As a service offering, even people are giving computer as a service, right? So you don't need to have a computer at your place. You only need to have your this laptop, uh, keyboard and a monitor, and of course a connection. So these three things, the rest of the computer, the rest of the computing thing will be done at some other place. So this is already offered. This cloud service is a service where the people are giving the servers as a offer, right? The nowadays Microsoft is offering this Word or even Office, MS Office as a service. So you just go to the internet, do the typing and print at your place, and fine. That's all. You don't need to install the MS Office at your computer. So that's as a service offering. Then user interface, obviously a lot of things are happening in user interface, and immersive technologies are combining. So what is happening is IoT along with immersive technologies are giving you virtual reality at every place, right? So immersive technology along with your IoT in your farm, in your field, will give you that as if you are walking in your farmhouse while you are here in your city. So that the two things can combine to give you a totally different thing, right? So that's it about from my side. And some more things is blockchain is also revolutionizing, and the blockchain and sensors, a lot of new sensors are coming. But okay, these things are uh, we have already discussed most of these things, and the only thing different in this is blockchain and smart sensors, right? So blockchain, is also changing the whole scenario. So with the IoT also you can use them. And sensors, new sensors are emerging for each and every application. So that's it from